the 10x engineer on the left, obviously. Now that's really difficult, but no matter what in this job market, you do have to differentiate yourself. You have to do something that's different than what your peers are doing. Secondly, you gotta get that coin, right? You can't just graduate and then not make any money. I mean, maybe you can, like, that's cool. I couldn't, but regardless, let's keep moving. I'll be talking about networking, entrepreneurship, and no code. Interesting subjects. I'll go over my story a little bit, and then we'll pop back in. If you have any questions, I will take them, but then you need to show me and be like, hey, this person, someone's looking to ask a question. Okay, this is me. Yeah, I got some fancy things right there. The Wisconsin Innovator, that's cool. That can happen to you. Okay, let's go through my experience. I'll talk a little about what I did in college and how it helped me, and perhaps you'll get some inspiration from that. So, in the first 2 years of college, what's up? How's your name? Great point. I tried all of the keys. Okay, is that better? Yeah, that's better. A little bit better. Oh, that's not good. That's what you tell me. Okay, first 2 years of college, there was a lot of events going on at MSOE, and there was events happening in Milwaukee. There was startup events, there was entrepreneurship events, there was a lot of tech meetups, and for some reason, I wasn't that scared to go to them. I was a little nervous when it came to networking. I wasn't a very social person. I had been in a lot of clubs in high school, but I don't know anything about, like I knew a little bit about coding, and I'm talking to people that are like 7 years older than me, right? That can be intimidating. But nevertheless, I did that, and I ended up going to a lot of events, and I started to meet people that were very different from me. They would post videos on LinkedIn and Instagram, and they would talk and be on those videos, and they would look cringy. Some of them would be cringy, and for some reason, I said, okay, I'll do that too. So I made videos on LinkedIn, 30 in a day, that'd be crazy. 30 in 30 days. And after that, I began to share a lot more on LinkedIn. I'll talk a little bit about what I shared and how that helped. But needless to say, in total, a lot of opportunities came to me that I didn't expect, and I didn't feel I was deserving of. One of these opportunities is working at Cambridge here, which is a startup company out of Green Bay. They folded, but it was a great opportunity. I also started 2 companies, kept being a vendor, that was fun. And I still operate my consulting on the side. There's a number of other students that also do consulting on the side at MSOE. And then also I joined ThoughtWorks after graduating. It was a great market. It was wonderful. And I worked on a couple of startups in that time. I worked on some startups while I was at college as well. And what I can say is that I failed a lot because other people were failing, I was failing, and it's neat that Ben Paulson is also in the top right here. Okay, let's get back to, music. I love synthwave. Let's, right here? Yeah, I'll just open it up again. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about, this is how it's going to go. I have a number of quotes in the topics of networking, entrepreneurship, and no-code/AI that you may have heard, that I've heard, that get told to me all the time, and I want to bring some nuance from my experience, and then also other people's experience. If you have any quotes right now, shout them out, and I may be able to cover them. Anything you've heard about networking? Probably your network is your net worth. It's a great one. No, okay, cool. If you guys haven't heard anything, that's cool. Okay, great. What? No. Okay.
Do not ask what someone can do for you, but ask what you can do for them.
Solid. What a beautiful saying. I think I will cover that. Okay, first, you're a student, you're not supposed to know everything. Alright? When you're a student, you can email anyone that you have the email of and say, I'm a student, I'm wanting to learn about this thing, I started doing this to try to learn about it, and they might answer you. Professors are more likely to answer you. I can't remember if I did too much of that when it came to professors, but I definitely messaged a lot of people on LinkedIn with that header. I'm a student at MSOE studying this. I want to know about your job, what it's like in your industry, etc. These things can help you in the future. Secondly, when you're at a networking event, it can be perhaps a little you can be nervous to say anything because perhaps you don't know anything, right? Like you know a little bit about programming, but that shouldn't stop you because there's a lot more about networking than just telling people, I know C++ and I know object-oriented programming. Yes, that is the right concept that you need there, okay? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Your network is your net worth. This one gets said a lot. There's maybe, 250, there's gotta be more than, how many people are in your class? Anyone know? In my freshman class, anyone know? Maybe 1,200. How many CSs in freshman class? Maybe 35, 50? We don't know. We don't know these numbers. Higher? 70?
It's I think it's 80s this year?
Okay, 80s. That's a really good number. When I was in an SE, there was maybe 25 or 35 CSs that I knew. And many of them have gone on to work for interesting companies that you might want to work for. And so I do recommend making friends. Might be hard, some people might not like you, but at the end of the day, it's good that someone knows your name, okay? We certainly don't want to use people, right? But if you know someone, you might be able to trust them. You might know what they can do and what they can't do. And this has happened to me in my past. I actually joined that ChemDirect startup that I talked about earlier, and I brought someone else that I knew who I actually lived with and went to MSOE as a CS student. And now he is the CTO of a new company that sprung out of that company. Awesome guy, congratulations to him. He knew me. If he didn't know me, where would he be? I don't know. He could be somewhere better, perhaps. Maybe somewhere worse. But I also know people at Capital One, Progressive, other startups. There's plenty of founders. This is all to say, MSOE is a unique location, a unique opportunity for you all to make friends, or at least to make connections that know who you are. And you don't know yet how amazing your network will be. The longer that someone knows you, the more easy it is for them to perhaps recall your name, to call you up, and there's a huge impact over time, shall we say, of that. I think that's everything I want to say about this one. Obviously, you have to know things. You have to be somewhat good at what you're doing. But there's also opportunity that if you really fell down and didn't have a job and didn't know much about certain languages, perhaps you could still have an opportunity given to you by someone. Be the person everyone wishes was at the networking events. So you don't have to go to all the networking events. You don't have to go to a single one. The friend that I know who works at Starlink, Aiden DuPont, also one of the founders, who says hello. I spoke with him last night. He also says, keep applying to Starlink and SpaceX. He wants to see you guys there. And what else did he say? I forgot. Maybe I'll look at it later. But he spent most of his time doing robotics until midnight. And there's other students that I know who did the same thing. They hardly went to any networking events. And there's also this guy named Levels.io. You guys might know about him. Speaks on Twitter a lot. He posts on Twitter a lot. he says this quote, and I think that this is very true, which is if you're building something and it's valuable, people will want to know you. So there's a give and take here, and you need to know yourself a little bit. If you're interested in going to a networking event, I think you can learn a lot. You'll meet a lot of interesting people that are different. There's 4 schools in the nearby area. There's Maya, MU, so Marquette, MSOE, UUM, and then there's MATC. I've met people from all of those universities, and I've asked questions to probably at least one person or 4 people at each of those universities about their jobs, whether it was finances, economics, manufacturing. I've asked plenty of questions to people that maybe would not have answered my question if I hadn't said, hey, at a networking event. The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. This goes back to, I think, what one of the quotes was, which is, what can you do for other people? Even if you don't have any skills, when you're at a networking event, you could talk with one person, ask them questions like, who are you? Why did you come to the event? What are you looking for right now? What's frustrating you? You can learn about them, and then you think about it. Maybe you connect on LinkedIn. And then you go to somebody else, and you say, hey, who are you, etc. And they go, I'm really looking for someone who's in web dev, who's maybe looking for like some extra work on the side. You go, I think I have someone you should meet. And then you go and you say, hey, this is so-and-so, and etc. That's a valuable interaction right there, and they will remember that. You can do that beyond a networking event as well. You can do that with your friends, and that does increase the, currency, or the likelihood of someone recommending you in the future. Be curious. People say that a lot. It's like super overused. But why though, right? Why be curious? Well, as I said before, you can learn a lot about somebody if you assume that they know something you don't. If you assume that they're actually an interesting person. They might not sound like it, and they might not seem like it. I think it can be easy to discount people when you first meet them, perhaps, depending on what they wear or whatever. But I've met a lot of interesting people. Let's think of. I don't know, I've met art students, musicians. Oh, I did meet an EDM artist on the Milwaukee train to Chicago. He invited me to an EDM concert that I think he was hosting. You don't get those opportunities by just hanging in your mom's basement, okay? Other things to be curious about. Like I said, if you can't think of any good questions, ask someone why they're here. And then they might say, oh, because my professor told me I had to be here. And then you go, okay, so what are you studying? And you keep going, and then you ask why, like, okay, well, you still showed up, right? So maybe you care about your grades, etc. You keep going. The people who ask questions to other people and are interested in other people are the interesting people. People like to talk about themselves. Some people do, some people don't. Some people like to talk about things. But there's a whole world out there, a lot of people out there. Don't wait until you're in need to start building relationships. So you need a job right now? Yeah, today's the best day to start networking. The best day to get started in meeting people or talking about what you're working on and what you are looking for. But doing that ahead of time, as I said before, is a very good idea. Opportunities don't float like clouds, they are attached to people. If you are looking for an opportunity, you're really looking for a person. That's kind of weird, but I can see it makes sense. It made sense in the Chem Direct, the startup that I was working on. I think it also made sense in that I met this guy named Steve Glynn. I think he's an MSOE alum. He's an entrepreneur. I was interested in him. I was interested in learning more about Milwaukee. And eventually he goes, hey, Paul, would you like to work on this startup called Intro? I don't know if you may have seen that earlier in the slides, but we worked on that. That would not have happened if I hadn't been looking for people or looking just for anything. People buy from people they trust and like. This is very true. I hear it a lot. I've seen it. I have hired people I know personally better than people who I don't know as well. And what else can we say about this one? People buy from people they trust. Oh, in the beginning of Snapchat, people didn't download Snapchat. Later on, as people knew that their friends were using Snapchat, they downloaded it. The same thing with Facebook. That's like social proof. It's similar. You trust that other people are doing something interesting, so you're going to join them. Similarly, if you know more about somebody, you're more likely to welcome them in, bring them into MSOE, invite them for a coffee, invite them for something else. So I think this one is true. It might be something I'll think more about. So that ends networking. Any quotes? Go ahead.
If it's like about people buying from people that they trust, how do you establish that trust?
Great question. Establishing trust, many ways to do that. I'd say the best way is showing competence over time. The way that I did that was a lot on LinkedIn. I would ask questions that I was actually curious about people, and they would begin, and then people just asked me, hey, can you build this website for me? Can you build this tool? Can you do this for me? That's my hypothesis. People were willing to reach out and ask me if I could do something because I had posted on LinkedIn so much and shown such consistent effort, and that I was learning certain things in school. I'll talk more about social media later though. Okay, we'll keep going. Quotes about no code / AI. Anything come to mind? No code to AI. It's gonna take your job. There's gonna be no jobs left. I do not know. Don't ask me. You guys should be able to answer that. Maybe. You're a developer. Why use constrained tool when programming language is flexible? Kind of a weird question. I worded it this way for a very good reason. And if you see in the bottom left corner, there is Glug. Glug, the programmer, brain dead programmer. Yes, if you know Laravel really, really well, maybe you can build a website really fast that you know about security, and you know that you can test it well, and you can move very fast, and so you can build a startup very fast with that. And maybe you should use Laravel then. But many of you probably aren't experts in the programming language at this point. When I was in college, I used a few tools called card. I won't show them out. I have examples, but I use tools like card.co, Airtable. These are similar to like Google Sheets and like Wix. Excuse me. And I built some websites for clubs because why? So I guess the nuance here is that yes, if you try to build a website for yourself with Python, you're going to learn a whole lot, but it might take you 5 weeks to do it. So how I argue is build the site. If you care to learn Python, improve it. Work on it later. There's a lot of no-code tools that can do things that you might not expect. Software is software. No code is software. But there's nuance there, right? If you become really good at, if you want to build your server locally and then use only your server, more power to you. Good luck. And maybe you'll become the person people want to go to and network with. The best software is the one that gets built and used. I super agree with this one. Same reasons. I built websites for MSOE Lifting Club, MSOE Triangle Fraternity, MSOE, my day and night consulting company, and a few other websites that help me move quickly. They're pretty nice. I use this tool called, oh wait, I don't have them open here. Oh well. I use this tool called Card. It has fun animations. You can do that type of stuff with no code. I probably built it in literally 35 minutes. And in college, I sold my services building landing pages for like $50 a landing page. And I got a quick story about that. I'll talk about it before I talk about this quote, which is I was eventually selling my services for like $150 per page. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm charging so much money. People are gonna say no to me. And then someone reached out to me. We booked the call. We were on the call. He's super stoked to move forward with me. And he goes, okay, what are your prices? I say $150 per page, so that'll be 3 times 150. We'll do 300 to 450, okay? And he goes, so under 1,000? And I'm like, oh, I messed up. He thought that what I was building was extremely valuable, and maybe it is. But I'm just using these code.co, I'm just using this no-code tool. Why would it be worth $2,000 or $3,000? Well, because you're solving a problem that he really needs solved, and I was applying a special process. I read The Lean Startup and I read StoryBrand. I highly recommend both of these books. And so there was more than what I was selling. But I was using a no-code tool and it was really easy, so I felt like it really wasn't that valuable. Move fast and break things. I'm a big proponent of moving fast. In my first startup, I was trying to automate, I was automating the creation of NFTs for streamers of their most precious moments, and then auctioning them live in front of their fans. Interesting idea. The way I move fast is I scraped emails of Twitch streamers in select categories, and then I emailed like 20 of them. I should have emailed more, but I emailed them basically saying, hey, my product does this thing, which I haven't built the product yet, but this is like, my product is going to do this thing. Is that interesting to you? I'll do it for free for you for this one time. I got no responses. Actually, no, I think I got 4 responses, and half of them said, there's no way I'm gonna do that because I don't hate myself, and the other one was like, I'm never gonna do that because I don't hate my fans. Like, okay, fair. Like NFTs were really bad at the time. I don't know if you guys know what NFTs are. They're non-fungible tokens. It's basically a way to make like a quick card of something, basically, I won't get into it, but it was not valuable. I still agree with this statement, this quote. Breaking things, sure. Like, if you have a site that's broken in some ways, yeah, I think I cost one startup like an $800 bill because I accidentally left the Google API key, like I left it running and I was doing some testing and I hit refresh a bunch. It was not optimal code, but $800 wasn't a lot of money to them. So, that was nice. But we were moving fast and we were breaking things and moved forward quickly. I fixed it quickly and I was forgiven. That's great. I think that might happen to you. Who knows? I think when I was at Collins Aerospace, someone broke like $1 million or maybe 10,000. I can't remember how much it was, but it was bad. Someone broke something, it was really bad, but they were like, it's okay. I guess that's the defense industry, quote unquote. No-code software will take your job. So no-code software didn't take people's jobs, they changed them. Wix, WordPress, etc. Yeah, there's less people that are just building sites that are the same thing over and over again, these Shopify websites. But there's also people now, there's new developers who are building integrations with those. So if you know about these no-code tools and you're familiar with them, there is a market for making them more powerful with custom code, which is what you'll know how to do when you graduate. That ends no-code. Any questions, comments, quotes? Ben, how am I doing on time?
You're at 7:10, so you're good.
Okay. Quotes about social media. This is a fun topic. Any quotes? Any spicy quotes about social media? Okay. What a waste of time. That's a good one to start off with. Consuming content is, I'd say, like addictively is an epidemic right now. But producing content, whenever I produce content, I haven't seen a very negative impact. I definitely produced a lot of cringy content. I was looking at my LinkedIn from 5 years ago. I looked much younger. I said a lot of cringy things like, I had like the stereotypical LinkedIn influencer where it's like, I woke up today, I saw the sun, it was going over the Milwaukee blue sky, it was beautiful, and I thought to myself, I'm so grateful for all these things. Yeah, that can happen to you, and it's okay, but I would argue that producing content and consuming a little bit would be valuable for you. It's been valuable for me, and it's been very valuable for, let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, we can't. But in the bottom left, I have a post of my friend Blaze, who I encourage to do social media. He produced a lot of content on TikTok. He is a UX developer, UX designer, and he got 7 million views in like a few months. And now he's operating his design studio, doing quite well, and he's selling to other people, and other people are doing work for him. So there's opportunity out there if people know who you are. The world needs your intelligence. But what intelligence do I have? I'm just a freshman. I'm just a sophomore. Well, when I was just a freshman, just a sophomore, I wrote about what I learned, what I had questions about. What is this industry like? I wrote about my day, my week. I met new people at events, and then I talked to them, and I asked them questions, and then I remembered it, and then I put it on LinkedIn, and I said, I had this great conversation, this is what I learned, what do you think about that? And then in the comments, I would talk with those people that asked questions to me, or commented. Obviously, LinkedIn is really boring if all you do is say, congrats, great job, and this is great, it's horrible. It's horrible. There's a great opportunity out there to make a meaningful connection on social media and actually make it social. Secondly, if you have a CS degree, or if you're on your way to finish your CS degree, you know so much that people don't know. Like, if you ever spoke to someone who's non-technical, you know that people have no clue what AI is. They think that all AI is the same. Some people think LLM is like total demon. They think that, there's a lot of lack of knowledge out there. And so if you do want to share about what you're learning, I highly recommend you share just the concepts maybe. Maybe there's some great area for sure. You don't want to copy your syllabus into LinkedIn. I think MSOE would be upset. The fool comes before the master. I like this one a lot. When I was doing LinkedIn in the beginning, yeah, I was foolish. Some of my content was cringy, but seemingly, I haven't had a single person tell me, hey, my content's cringy, except for one guy at MSOE, and everybody, all my friends were like, why you be mean? Don't. So, I think it's really okay to be a fool. It's really good to be a fool. If you're not asking questions when you have them in class, you're missing out on knowledge. If you do say something incorrect on social media, people will correct you, and then you'll learn. And that's great. You'll take that. That's free. That's somebody giving you their time for free. Well, not exactly for free. You spend some time on that post. If I share what I'm learning, won't I be stealing from the university? I felt this a lot when I was at MSOE. So I didn't share too much about the specifics of what I was learning, even sometimes just the broad things of what I was learning. Like whether I was learning about a specific algorithm or like tree structures. I think I talked about tree structures once. I like tree structures, binary trees and such. And the trie structure is pretty cool. So I'd still say there's a gray area. You don't want to be copying the syllabus in there, but talking about what you're learning isn't taking away from the IP, honestly, I'd say. And if you really feel uncomfortable with something, just send Dr. Magana or Dr. Riley a message about it. Okay, that ends social media. Any questions or comments or quotes still?
Paul? Okay, do you recommend we all post on LinkedIn? Or what do you think about that?
Do I recommend everybody posts on LinkedIn? No. I know some really great engineers who don't post at all on LinkedIn. They have maybe 40 connections and they're legends. But I think you can ask yourself the question, what's the cost of one post? What's the cost of saying hello or what you're excited about? I'd say it was pretty difficult for me to post consistently for 7 days straight. Definitely felt nervous about it. So if you're feeling nervous, if you feel like this might not be worth it, I'd still recommend you try it and see what happens. With the algorithms on X and LinkedIn and other platforms, like if you want to use a different platform, go ahead and use it. I tried Instagram, it didn't really work that great. Twitter wasn't really, I didn't think it was like a great opportunity at the time. LinkedIn video right now is apparently doing really, really well. So if you're not embarrassed to show yourself, or even if you are, I would encourage you to share video content on LinkedIn. So yeah, I guess I would recommend most of you to post on LinkedIn. If not, even just in 4 years from now, someone will see your post, because it's the only post on your profile, and they'll go, oh, look at that. This person was interested enough to share something about what they were learning about 4 years ago. Maybe they'll be like, I don't think that people will negatively view you if you post on LinkedIn. Not everybody, some people maybe, but I think you can handle that. You're an adult. Does that answer the question well enough? Okay. We're going to go to entrepreneurship. Keep the ideas flowing. 65% to 80% of all new businesses fail. Yeah, you hear this, it's probably true, but it's missing nuance. How many people that are entrepreneurs only release one product, only work on one startup? Maybe like a good amount, and that's what contributes to the statistic. I've worked on 5, 4, maybe 6 businesses, I don't know, it's hard to know. It's hard to classify whether something was gonna be like an actual business. I think this probably comes from LLCs registered. I closed down one LLC after 2 years because I just wasn't using it. I think there's a lot of opportunity to use AI and no-code tools to move quickly and then build businesses that are at least going to net you $1. Okay, it's not that hard to make $1. It's not that hard to make $30. But making a lot of money, sure, that's difficult. Making $1 million business, it can be difficult. Definitely difficult. Don't have 2 things, hold 1 thing. Okay, when I was in robotics at McWanago High School, my mentor told me this because we were focusing on trying to make 2 features really, really well. And I think one year we did make like 3 features extremely well, and we got 2nd place on Einstein, which was cool. That's really great. But at the same time, I think that the nuance here was true. Like he was saying, if you're going to, if you want to make your robot really good at this one thing, you might have to sacrifice weight, or you might have to sacrifice something about your robot. The same thing is true about you and your time at MSOE. Focusing fully on your studies, I do not recommend only working on your studies. I recommend at least perhaps going further than your studies and working on things that are interesting to you, or working beyond the lab. I knew guys who would wake up at 8 a.m. on Saturday and code for maybe 5 hours on their lab that was finished already and do like the next week. These guys were crazy, I thought, but one of them got a job at somewhere that I was also offered a job at, but they were offered a lot more money than I was. And I think it was due to that effort. They really focused on just what they wanted to learn about. While I was focusing on networking and other entrepreneurial things at the same time, I interacted with some very interesting people. I worked on a roadmap of a sexual assault awareness app, helping people to be aware of offenders nearby. I worked on helping people get back to a bunch of social justice things, helping people from incarceration get back to their communities and not recidivate, not become a criminal again. But I think this is very true. This is also true in my startup that I talked about earlier called EasyMint. I was trying to work on writing smart contracts in Rust for Solana, and that was really difficult. And I wanted to figure it out because I wanted to make sure that it was going to work how I wanted it to work. I had a faint idea that it would probably work the way I wanted it to work, but at the same time I was doing some of that sales. I kind of wish I had done the sales first and spent that time further, more so than Solana. Perhaps though, we're in a different age, right? And you can use AI to answer questions, and you can somewhat trust the answers. You can at least verify the answers. You can't do it so much with crypto because the docs just came out like a month ago, whatever, here or there. Do the things most people won't do. Refers back to what I just said about those two individuals, those two programmers. Definitely in my life, I used to, when I was a senior and junior, I streamed to Twitch and LinkedIn at the same time, doing coding, which I think I got at max 5 viewers throughout a stream. And I don't know if it had that big of an impact, but it certainly kept me coding on and exploring things that I wanted to do with some type of social pressure. If you do what everyone else does, you probably will get what everyone else gets. Seems pretty logical. I agree with it. Sometimes people get really lucky, but who wants to just use luck? Who wants to not grow? That ends entrepreneurship. Any quotes? Any questions? I think it can be really easy to say yes to some opportunities that may actually slow you down. I worked on some projects that I learned how to code in some new languages. There was beneficial things from it, but not necessarily, nothing came from it, right? Nothing very simple came from it.
I have the obvious question of why or what got you interested in entrepreneurship, networking the first time? Everything you've talked about today, what was that catalyst or what keeps driving you?
I think it's part of my personality for sure. I chose to become a software engineer at MSOE because I wanted to be closer to customers. I didn't want to focus really heavily on the technical depths of OpenGL or the technical depths of the trie structure with a linked list and some other jazz. Additionally, there's a couple of entrepreneurs in my family. My grandfather was he bought and operated a grocery store on the north side. And then my uncle started a company after about 10 years of effort in the manufacturing realm. Those are inspirational to me. I also think that while you can do very well just being a software engineer, I knew that, at least for myself, I knew that I wanted something more. I felt like I had some creativity in me. And so as I engaged with that, I get very hyped up. I get very excited to work on new products, to solve things, and to help people out and to change the world in a positive way, at least in a small positive way. Those are the reasons I think I avoided doing just what everyone else does. That's why I went to networking events, because I was curious. Networking events, I think more so was because I wanted to know if people who graduated from MSOE hated their jobs, hated their life, which, okay, who's gonna hate their job, like, really that bad? Some people. So I talk to people, I learn about their industry. You have so many opportunities ahead of you. There's so many industries. And so I wanted to know what it was like in those industries so I could make, I could focus instead of just getting swooped into some industry because I went to the career fair and I needed a job. When it comes to no code, I'm not exactly sure. I think I must have consumed, I think I saw a guy on LinkedIn talking about no code because he went to Carnegie Mellon and I was like, love Carnegie, couldn't get in there, but maybe there's something cool about that. So that's what started me on entrepreneurship, no code, and networking, and that's what keeps me going too. There's a strong beauty, I'd say, in mentoring other people and just helping connect people. We're very isolated these days. My brother is not very similar to me, at least in the entrepreneurship and networking as much. He wanted me to tell you guys to breathe, and he wanted to tell me to breathe. Also, come to your own conclusions. Advice is cheap. And then secondly, if I hadn't networked at Yale on a whim when I was visiting a friend, I wouldn't have this slide up here. There's a loneliness epidemic. It's happening. He created an app that you could try out. The left has a test flight link. The right has an Android link for trying it out. If you want to download that, it's specifically targeted to college students, as well as professionals. What it basically lets you do is when you go to a coffee shop, you can log into the app and tap the you can sit by me. It's okay. So you can maybe make a friend that way. So if you want to try that out, go ahead. If you want to learn more about that, let me know. This guy's actually from Milwaukee too, which is cool. Lastly, I'll say, introduce yourself, connect with me on LinkedIn or any network. And please don't just say hi. Maybe say something like, hey, I saw you at your talk. Glad you spoke about this specific thing. Having nuance in this world of tons of information is really special. And sometimes it doesn't really take that much effort. So with that, I think that's everything. Yeah. Any questions or comments? I hope this was beneficial. If you're curious about freelancing and entrepreneurship, feel free to contact me. You can talk to Dr. Riley. I can introduce you to other people as well. I'd be happy to help.
Yeah, any questions before the end here? I was upstairs a little bit. Anyone downstairs have a question at all? All right, well, let's give Paul a big round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much. And for those of you who might have a question but don't want to, shout it out across the entire crowd, I'm sure Paul's going to stay here a little bit. Feel free to connect with him personally here. He also talked about connecting with him on LinkedIn, but I'm sure he'll stick around up here